At present, I'm a Celtic priest and monk, and that's sort of where I am at present in my life, having been a Roman Catholic priest for a good portion of my earlier life, and becoming disillusioned with the institutional side of religion, but wanting to continue to work in that area without being a member of any institution. So by being a Celtic priest, I'm part of the Irish spiritual tradition, but I don't belong to any church. And I offer spiritual services to people who are, in a way, in a similar position to myself. And a lot of young people these days are. They don't go to church anymore, but they do want something spiritual in their lives, especially around their wedding time or a child being born or something like that. And so I'm actually kept very busy doing Celtic ceremonies for people.
So it's fair to say that the Catholic Church really is in crisis lately. I mean, do you think it can fix itself? It can reform?
Well, I hope it doesn't, and I don't mean that in a nasty way. I think it's been, it doesn't serve the best needs of people's spirituality. People's spirituality is their inner freedom to be who they really are, and all of us have a unique personality, unique individuality, and that spirituality is the art, if you like. It's an art, I would say, more than anything else, of finding expression of your life in a way that's absolutely right for you. So any sort of an institution that tries to control that or put boundaries on it or make rules to it or say you must believe this and you can't believe that or threaten you with punishments, that to me is not anything like a healthy approach to people's spiritual lives. So, you know, is the church going to change so radically that it can be completely different? I don't think so, because it's stuck in its own theology. And how are they going to change their theology? You know, that's bedrock on which they've built this whole thing. The breakaway churches, in a way, are not that much better than the Roman Catholic Church. They might be less controlling, but a lot of them broke away on the grounds of dogma, you know, and I think, to me, dogma is the problem, you know. So can we have a church without dogma? I don't think we need a church in any institutional sense. And if you have an opinion, I think you're entitled to it. And if I have a different opinion, I'm entitled to it. And I don't think you should be the referee between us and say he's right and I'm wrong, you know. Let people have their opinions. Let people find their own truth. That's my view. I'm the sort of person who likes to be free, and being in an institution is not. Haven't got the personality for fitting in like a cog in a wheel, you know, or some part of a machine, where you just, you know, you work as a sort of a large, I don't know, corporation, really, you know. I couldn't cope with that. You know, I just need open spaces, and I need freedom, and I need to be able to follow my intuitions. And I didn't get that within the institution. On the contrary, I felt very suffocated. So I needed to find a way to be priest and to be monk that didn't have all of that trappings to it, you know. And I found it by moving to a small island in the Atlantic, one of the Aran Islands. And that's where I became a hermit out there. And then the more I got into more or less the Irish tradition of being a hermit, there's a long tradition of being a hermit and being Celtic monk in the Irish tradition. And the more I lived that life, the more I got into it, the more I saw the distinction between the way I wanted to live and the institutional church, which I put a little bit to one side in my life. And so I eventually just said, I don't want to be part of the institutional church anymore. It doesn't really, in reality, hold the values that I hold. You know, it's very male-dominated, it's very hierarchical, quite dictatorial, quite controlling. And all of those things, to me, are not what spirituality should be about. For me, it's the institution that's sick. It's not the people running the institution. It's the institution itself that's very sick. It's very dysfunctional, and has been since it really set itself up in the 5th century, going way, way back. And it's just got more dysfunctional, and people are more aware of its dysfunctionality now. So I don't think it has any future. For me, anyway, it certainly doesn't. So I haven't seen actually all the episodes. I've seen a number of them. I do have a telly now because I'm married and have children, and the children watch the telly. I still don't watch telly. But yes, and you know, I was still a Roman Catholic priest at the time, and this man Dermot Morgan, before he even started the Father Ted series, he was taking the mickey out of priests. You know, he was giving his comedy show dressed as a priest in a leather jacket and playing a guitar and preaching a very trendy homily, and he called himself Father Trendy, and he was uncomfortably close to the sort of person that I was. But I enjoyed him immensely, you know. And he was going around like with a pin, bursting bursting the bubble, the illusion of what, you know, priests were and what bishops were and all of that. He was bursting all those bubbles, and you know, he did a good job, I think.
Yeah.
I believe that when Father Ted was proposed to the Irish National Television Station, the RTE, they turned it down because they thought it was a bit too close to the bone and that it would be offensive to people. We were still a very Roman Catholic country when Father Ted started, you know. So it was Channel 4, a British sort of secular station, which took it on, and it was avidly watched then in every Irish household. It was a strange thing. But like, in the same time, it was a certain generation that watched it. My mother's generation wouldn't have watched it and would have disapproved of it. So it just got the timing right for the attitude of the younger generation of Ireland towards the church, and it helped people to move on and leave behind the power of this institution over people's lives in Ireland. So it was just right for its time. Well, it's early days yet because we've only just started you know, we've another 2 days to go. But yes, already, I mean, it's interesting that you can see those in attendance here are making the distinction in their minds. Hey, this fellow isn't just dressed up as a priest like we are, for example, or, you know, they're dressed up as nuns or bishop or something. This fellow really is a priest, you know. And they're talking to me with this sort of interest. You really are a priest, and what do you do? Oh, that's very interesting. Because I have to explain all the time how it operates for me, that I'm not part of the institution, and I can see them saying, oh yeah, that's the sort of service I would like, because it's clear that the young people attending this Tedfest are not attending church. I mean, Easter is the biggest Christian festival, and they're here at a Tedfest instead of in the church, you know, so it's quite obvious. They don't find it an obligation to be in church these days, or to be fasting on Good Friday, which was yesterday, you know. So, and yet, all of us have spiritual needs, but we want our needs to be met in a way that's right for what we believe in and what we think is important in life. And I can offer that facility because I'm not tied to the rules of a church, or I don't have to read prayers out of a book. You know, we can create our own ceremonies, and that's what I do. And so it suits the modern generation.